All right. Happy Saturday. Normally I do this on Friday. I actually did it yesterday, but I kind of goofed up with the charts. It didn't show up on the screen. I didn't like the way it looked. And I want to make sure that I share the screen a little bit better this time and I share more statistics with you. Obviously, the 7-day numbers from yesterday are going to be a little bit different than what they are today because obviously 24 hours has passed, but not tremendously so, right? We're going to talk about 21 different things to pay attention to as far as the statistics in the Villages real estate market. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at new. We're going to look at price increases, decreases, back on the market, pendings. We're going to talk about how much is pending right now total, not only 7-day numbers, but total pendings. We're going to talk about sold year to date. We're going to talk about active days on the market. We're going to talk about historic actives, historic sales, historic price trends, just really a comparison of where we are. And I think it's important to know where we are because when we know where we are, we can compare it to where we were. And maybe we can actually figure out where we're going. So we're going to look at everything today. So hang tight. We're going to be talking about a lot of different numbers. So let's begin with the last 7-day numbers. Last 7-day numbers, when you're looking at it from just about a couple hours ago, 16 new properties on the market from 7 days ago to now in the Villages MLS. That's what we're talking about, 16 new properties, which is tremendously low. It's a little bit better than yesterday. I think we were in like 12, 13 was the number yesterday. So 16 new properties last 7 days. That's still really low. Price increases 1, price decreases 6. Back on the market, we had 2 back on the market, and then sold, closed last 7 days, 44. Those are 5 of the 21 things we're going to cover today as far as 21 statistics to really pay attention to when you're buying or selling in the Villages, right? So I think it's important to know, okay, when we're looking at price, when we're looking at, let's forget about pricing for a second. Let's look at, the new properties that have come on the marketplace, 16. Obviously, I look at that and I'm thinking, well, if I'm at home and I'm watching this, or if I know somebody thinking about selling in the Villages, I think it's a great time to sell. Is it the best time to sell? I don't think anybody could tell you yet, but I will tell you that it is a great time to sell. Why? Because there's less competition. Less competition, you have a higher chance of getting sold, and you have a higher chance of making more money in the process. So good time to sell. And you may wonder, okay, well, and we've had this before where people have asked, okay, is this a great time to put your home on the market? It's, end of June. It's hot in Florida. Although right now it's actually pretty cool. I'm actually outside of my home and doing this on a Saturday. So because it is overcast and there's rain in the area. But, is this a great time? Actually, right now, if you let's look at the solds, right? 44 solds, 1 expired listing, which means that, 1 property didn't sell. But 44 pending properties the last 7 days. That's not a massive number. That's a little bit of a reduction, but it looks like everything has slowed down a touch because what we've seen over the last, let's talk about last 4 or 5 months, we've seen more inventory come on the market, like 30 to 40 per week, and then about anywhere between 50 to 70, 80 properties coming off the market every single week going under contract. So it looks like about, half the properties that have come on the market are coming on the market now. Like we're not in the mid 30s. Last couple of weeks, it's been light, 16, that's half. Sold is probably, less than half. So, you're probably talking about 35 to 40% decrease in number of pending properties, but still pretty strong and still a gap between new on the market and under contract, a difference of 28, like 16 to 44. So what that says is that a little bit of a decrease in pending properties, a big decrease in number of new properties coming on the market in the resale market here in the Villages, Florida on MLS. So we need to know that. That's important. If you're buying, I think you have to buy with wisdom. It's hard to say if this is a great time to buy. It's kind of a paradox because we've got interest rates that are low. It's also a little bit of uncertainty about whether prices are going to continue to go up. I feel like they are. That's my gut feeling on this, is that the prices are going to go up. But, that's something to really to pay attention to. We try to figure it out. But look, if you're going to retire, and we know that inflation's going up, and we know we kind of feel like prices are going to go up because inventory's down, it probably is a good time to buy. The best time to buy probably was a couple of months ago, or the end of last year. But is it going to be a better time to buy? Maybe not. If I had to tell you, which way to go, if you said, Glenn, make up your decision, make up your mind, buy now or buy in 4 months, I would say buy now, right? Buy now. So I think the prices are going to be moving up, but stay tuned. We'll see. Let's look at the eighth statistic out of 21, temporarily off the market, 1, not a big number. People just took it off the market. They decided that they're going to wait for now. 3 canceled properties, which basically means they're not selling at all. Maybe they'll sell down the road. The 10th number is 53 active properties on the market right now. Pretty low when we're looking at, over 450 properties that have, basically disappeared. I mean, you're talking about gone from 450 to now we're talking about 53 active properties. Unbelievable. Thank you, James, for recommending Realty Executives. Thanks for that message. I appreciate that. So yeah, by the way, if you guys have a question, you can call me at 352-572-3796. I just had somebody call me right now. I wonder if that was straight from YouTube. 352-572-3796. Or if you need an agent realtor recommendation, because I don't sell myself. I'm basically the broker here, but I can find a fabulous agent for you as well. So just let me know. You can text me or message me here on YouTube. Either one is okay. So, all right. So sold properties, we talked about, 44 sold properties, 53 actives, 324 pending properties on the market. So what's interesting about this is that 324 properties that are under contract right now, that are somewhere between under contract to closing, going through inspections, going through due diligence, whatever they're going through, financing, whatever the process is, or just waiting for the closing date. What's interesting is that if you are looking for a property, remember to encourage your realtor to look into pending properties, because pending properties, maybe they might fall apart. Like we just saw a couple of come back on the market. Like I told you, back on market. So pay attention to the pending properties. Maybe you can actually kind of check it out and see if that's going to be an option. Okay. So that's definitely a thing. The other thing we need to look at is 1,314 sold year to date, closed 1,314 in the villages on MLS. That's a record number, by the way. And we're not even midway. We're going to be midway through the year in about 3 days. We're going to have increased numbers because most of the closings happen at the end of the month. So 1,314 there. So what I want to do is, this is where I want to share these numbers with you, where we're going to talk about, some of the historic side of what's going on, like active days on market and that type of thing. So let's take a look at that. Here, you're looking at active days on market versus list to sale price. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Okay. What this is basically saying is this: we're talking about days on market, January 2016, all the way through now, right? Days 58 and all the way down to now, current day, all the way down to current day, 12 days on market, 12 days on market. You're looking at pretty much most of this year. It's been low. You saw that, look, days on market in February, 40, January, 30. And, you saw some fluctuation. Look, 16, 17 February of last year. And then COVID hit, and we saw the days on market rise a little bit. And then it's come all the way down. Now let's look at sales price here. So list price to median price. Okay, list price median, which is actually the median, the middle number, right? Median is the middle number. So if you've got, in our case, 54 properties that are active, the 27th property, what's that price on the 27th, 26th, 27th property? And right now you're seeing that half the properties are going to be above this number, 309, 310, and half of them are going to be below that number. That's basically what that means. Hopefully that makes sense. But look, it gives you a little bit of an indication about what we're actually seeing with days on market, which means, when you begin to list the property and then, of course, getting to the closing date, right? So now let's look at historic count. All right, historic count of active listings from 2016. I'm going to leave it on here for a little bit just to give you a little bit of perspective. This gives you inventory numbers, 436, looking at 2016 January, and then looking at last year, 288 in January, 294, a little bit of a climb, March 352, COVID hits, and the number keeps going up, slight decrease in July of last year, and then goes to 409 active listings, 431, 442, 450, starts to decrease, right? So a peak in November, decrease December. People, I attribute this to the vaccine, people feeling a little bit safer, 421. And by the way, I'm thinking about season. Normally, this is not abnormal for season, right? As you can tell looking at these charts. But it was a little bit different this year because we didn't see the rentals. In fact, it was a really tough time for our property management division this past year, but looks fabulous for 2022, by the way. If you've got a property that you need to rent out for a season, we are overbooked. We need properties right now, not only to sell, of course, because we are short in inventory like we're talking about, but we need more properties to rent out. So if you have a seasonal rental that you want to have rented out, then that is definitely a possibility. Please connect with me or our property management division at 352-753-7500. But if you look at this, look at the inventory here: 382, 321 February this year, 242 March, 164 in April, 101. And now I'm telling you 54. And this is the average compilation of listings in that month. We're already in the 50s in June. Okay. Let's look at historic sales by year, give you a comparison. Okay. And this is basically, you're looking at, this isn't a number. This is your sales number. So I believe this is actually volume here. Okay. So you're looking at, 111, right? The month of, actually, no, it's units rather, sorry. So 2020, last year, this gives you another idea of what's happened and how we've increased over the years. And of course, we saw a low May of 2020 at 94, then 119, 142 is climbing, goes down a little bit further. November goes a little bit up, 182 starting to climb again. And of course, we don't have that in front of us here, but 2021, obviously the numbers increase. I think it's super important. Being really analytical here, but I think basically what we're doing is we're kind of, here are the tea leaves, here's the evidence of what's going on. And then we can kind of extrapolate and figure out, okay, what's the next move? Where's the market going? And to me, it tells me that the market is obviously moving up in price. What's interesting is the close price medium hasn't necessarily jumped up amazingly high, meaning that I like to attribute this to where the fish are swimming, where most of the buyers are. And most of the buyers in this marketplace in the villages has been under that 275, under that 250 mark traditionally, but it's starting to climb up a little bit more. And I don't think there's any doubt that it will, because now, if you look at it, there's only a handful of properties, probably about 12 properties that are on the market active right now that are under 250,000. So I think that's going to tell you that obviously this number, I think, is going to grow tremendously the rest of this year. So not too much of a change here, from 2020 to 2021. And what we're looking at is basically the median sales price, median close price. Okay. Let's look at the historic sales, give you more idea and more concept here, right? How many, and this is broken down to particular categories, right? This is broken down to particular categories of sales. Okay. So what I want to bring to light here is number of sales from 2 to 250, right? Big difference, 321 this year versus 195 and 206 prior years. 279 properties have sold between 250 to 300. From 3 to 350, 154, a 50% increase in that price range. So, versus last year, almost probably looks like a 70% increase in the 350 to 4, more than a 50, looks like a 60% increase between 4 and 5, so on and so forth, right? And then of course, look, something that has grown, not tremendously, but not in, as far as percentages, but not in large growth. There are a handful of properties that sell 900 plus in this community, on the lake. Might be Sumter Landing, Bridgeport, Harmswood, Lake Meona. There's some of these areas that are near Sumter Landing. Not so much Spanish Springs. I think properties around Spanish Springs will probably be in the the 2 range, right? 2 to 3. But as you get close to Sumter Landing, and some of these really beautiful high-end homes will be in that area as well. And properties in the in the southern end, south of 466A, like towards 44 and getting closer to the Turnpike around Brownwood, will be in that 400 plane or 400 range. Typically, for some of the premier homes, goes up from there. Of course, you can still find some nice courtyard villas. In fact, I know of a couple that are coming on the market in a great area by not too far away from Colony. It's probably going to be in a 350, 375 range, and it looks really, really nice. I've seen it. Looking at list price to square footage. So let's look at a comparison here. You're looking at list price square footage by price per square foot. So obviously seeing an increase in price per square foot. Overall market 144 in September, and then 157 in May. That looks to be, that's probably a high. That's actually a record high. Last year, I think we set a high in March, and it was 151. So 157 price per square foot on the average is a new record. And that was set in the month of May 2021. That tells you that prices are increasing, obviously. I don't think we can avoid it. And I think that's what we're seeing pretty much almost everywhere around the country. Not everywhere, but a lot of places around the country. Original price, this is median price to sales price. I don't put a lot of stock in this, but once again, I think you're seeing what we saw last year, which is record numbers earlier on in the year in 2020, and then a decrease through COVID, and then now an increase all the way through. Sold price to list price, 98.9%. You have to take this with a grain of salt too. Basically says that, there's not a lot of negotiating room. I think that's what it says, but I think it's been like that for quite a bit. I mean, for many years now. I mean, look back at maybe slightly less. Looks like the average was about 97 back in 2017, and maybe 96 in 2016, and then has been creeping up to 98 through the last couple of years, and then now we're getting close to about 99% is about what we're looking at. Month-to-month numbers. Last number, this is actually the 21st, literally. I don't know if you were counting, but 21 different numbers, 21 different statistics to pay attention to. This one on a month-to-month basis tells you the sales volume, okay? So July of 2020, 39 million, almost 40, to 51, to 51, 46, 51 million November of 2020. And then things start to pick up. December, almost 60 million. January went down, but January is typically for closings in the villages. Closings, not traffic. Traffic is usually pretty good, but closings in January are usually the lowest. So I think that's something that you've got to pay attention to, and just when you're trying to buy. Now could be a really good time to do it, because I'm seeing some statistics moving forward on that. So all right, let's look at February, March. Right, February is really low, 48, 53, really picks up, astronomical jump. Look at that jump. So you're going 48 million in January, 53 million in February, jumps to 83 in March, 83 in April, and then May goes a little bit down. And actually that's kind of in stride and in step with the way this market has always kind of been, like crazy February, March, April. A little bit of a tapering off in May, maybe a taper off in June. Usually June or July could be and normally is bigger than some of the in-season months, so to speak, March, April. But June is not done yet. So we're at 66 as of this date. We still have about 3 more days of closing time, and the end of the month is usually a big closing time. I suspect that it's going to be really interesting to see by next week. This number here, 66 million, may beat the 83, 84. It may beat that number over there. So I think that's something that we really need to pay attention to. Deep dive. Rocky, let's see, Rock Guttinger says, where do you see the real estate market inventory be in 6 months? So I think there's a couple of things. Let's talk about the future. Let's spend a couple of minutes on where the market could go. And I think the only thing we could do is let's use the evidence that we have. So a couple of things I'm seeing. I think interest rates, by the time the end of the year hits, interest rates will be a little bit higher. That will impact the rest of the country a little bit more than us, but we still are affected by what happens around the country. So interest rates will impact us a little bit. I don't see interest rates jumping up so high where it's going to be a drastic movement down. I think it could slow the market down a little bit around the country. But we also know the fundamentals. What we're seeing right now around the country is a little bit of a slowdown, but only in the areas that basically people have been let loose because of COVID. They're going on vacation. Record number of people going on vacation right now because of that reason. But we're also seeing, instead of 15 offers around the country, they're seeing 3 offers. So there is a slowdown in these areas. So I think there's less of an interest in real estate at the moment. And we have to remember that there are 2 fundamentals that are really important in understanding where the market is going to go. One, the millennials, which I did a funny video several months ago on, are millennials to blame for the housing crash here in the villages? And look, there's a relationship between millennials and buying here in the villages, because millennials, there's 72 million millennials that exist in this country. We know that 65 to 70% of these millennials are going to be buying over the next couple of years. And only probably a portion of those, not all those people have bought, right? They're moving out of their parents' basements. They're buying things, they're starting families, and hence empty nesters, people getting closer to retirement age who would move here to Florida or, in the villages. Basically what happens is those people get more money. There's competition. We know the construction numbers. Look this up for yourself. Look at housing starts over the last 20 years, new construction starts, and you're going to see that the period roughly between 2009 to about 2018, we saw probably 40 to 50% less new construction than normal for obvious reasons, coming out of the Great Recession and all that type of stuff, housing crash and all that kind of thing. This is also a different type of market versus, and we'll talk about this in other videos, versus what we saw back in 7 and 8. But long story short, I see the market continuing its trend. We may see a little bit more inventory. There may be a blip in time where we'll see more inventory on the market. And if we do, and I'm not saying thousands of properties, I'm talking about maybe 15 to 20 more than what we're seeing versus the 15, 16 on a weekly basis. That being the case, what that tells me is that there could be an opportunity for buyers to buy something. I do see real estate prices jumping up significantly over the next 6 months. That's my prediction. I see that. And I think then next year we'll see a plateauing in pricing, maybe a slight increase. I still feel like there's another big jump that's going to happen, and then it's going to flatten out and just be normal and stable. We shall see. I'll be keeping you guys up to date every single week here. That's what I do, and we'll talk about it. So if you guys have questions, let me know. 352-572-3796. Please subscribe to our channel. As it says here, subscribe to Realty Executives in the Villages. That would be absolutely fabulous. And look forward to seeing everybody really soon. Take care.